Hey everyone, and welcome to another week of Lost Resort. This is a weekly streaming show coming at you every Thursday on Twitch. This week I have two amazing guests. I have E.M.M.A and Dexplicit. We can talk about E.M.M.A. She wants to go by E.M.M.A. But Dexplicit is an amazing producer. Has been instrumental to the UK garage, grime, and London club scene for almost 20 years. He's on today with E.M.M.A, who he's met by helping her with her Producers Girl platform, which is a super cool mentorship for girls. So let me welcome them on. Hi. Okay, so let's decide. Are we gonna call you E.M.M.A, or should I just in the entirety of the show just call you E.M.M.A?
Yeah, I won't do that to you, Toki. E.M.M.A is great. That's kind of what I go by anyway. So yeah.
Okay.
Lovely to meet you. Finally.
Nice to meet the both of you guys. I've just been having such a frantic day, but I'm so happy. This is the highlight of my entire week because this is the week, the time of the week where I get to talk to people, human beings, and remember how to socialize. So,
Same.
how's it been for the both of you? Are you guys both in England, London, or whereabouts?
I'm in London. I'm in Archway, London, North London.
Okay.
Emma?
I'm actually up north and in the Wirral, which is where I grew up. I'm just currently at my parents' house, just kind of catching up and haven't seen them in quite a few, I don't see them that often. So I've just been up here for a few months since everything went down. So yeah.
Were you in London before that?
Yeah. I've been in South London for 10 years and I've got a flat down there. Just kind of working a day job and doing music on the side, doing a bit of DJing and stuff. So yeah, I'd say I do really miss it, but I just couldn't really. I'm just trying to save some expenses, to be honest. That's top and bottom of it.
That's the realest thing, I've heard. I think during this time I've spoken to so many different musicians, and there's a consensus. Obviously, the ones that are very established are doing okay, but for everyone else, it's definitely still a struggle, and it's not like we're touring. There's no shows. All we can do is put out music in which we make, what is it? I think Spotify gives you 0.000 cents, a US cent per stream. So, it's a little tough. But I'm happy to have you both on, and I want to start by playing some music. So, E.M.M.A, you picked Sacred Heart by Nightwave. Tell me a little bit why you picked the song. I've known her for such a long time, and she's incredible, and it's great to see that she's still making music and obviously doing her thing out over there.
Yeah, this is Nightwave's latest single. I think it's a charity single, or it's on a compilation or something. It came out, I think it was last week. But Maya I actually met her through Producer Girls, and she's just been an amazing friend. And, in really low moments or difficult times, we've just really bonded. And I love her so much. So I wanted to play one of her tunes.
Great. So let's play this right now. Sacred Heart by Nightwave. Ooh. Got that footwork.
I just love all of her drums and everything.
Yeah, it's so good. I think it's a really, really heavy, meaty kick drum. As well as having these little house chords. Again, for anyone listening and tuning in right now, you guys can leave comments questions, and hopefully we'll get to them during the show. I cannot speak today. So Emma, I actually want to ask. So, but actually, both of you guys are both really into mentorship and kind of encouraging and allowing the next generation to kind of grow. I'm wondering what motivates you guys to do that? What motivates the both of you to kind of want to go out of your way to help other musicians?
I think for me, I guess it's just as I've gotten older and you realize that when you're starting out in things, it can seem quite an unfriendly place. If you know, the way that a lot of things are talked about, it's always like quite negative, like, you know, either there's no money in it, or, you know, the way the technology is talked about is really inaccessible and kind of ego driven. And then if you're a female identifying creative, you know, you've got all of the kind of like what you were saying, Toki. I saw you say recently about how, you know, there was that conversations about what does it feel like being a woman in music, but like that was it, and then that was end of conversation, and then there was no desire to change the status quo. And yeah, I just kind of suddenly had this realization of there's never going to be a change unless we share our knowledge and are transparent about it, and don't make out that it's this kind of enigmatic, really difficult thing to get into. And like the more knowledge we share, the better. And that's going to give people confidence and inspire people to get into it, and then hopefully change the, you know, the balance of the whole game and the kind of people that go into it and everything like that. So yeah, and it just kind of I think that's the main reason, really. It just kind of goes hand in hand with kind of skill sharing and not just in our industry. Like if everyone did more of it, I think the world would be just a bit like a nicer place, really, as well, like for everyone.
I completely agree. So Dex, what do you think is a big motivating factor for you in helping the youth and mentoring?
Yeah, my thing is just remembering, you know, how I came up and how, you know, I was part of this teenage boom over here that, you know, we got our hands on Fruit Loops and we was able to teach ourselves the program. But, you know, that was a journey in itself. And in my experiences, some of the guys that were older or more experienced, they were all using, like, you know, the linear sequences like Logic and Base. And a lot of people look down on the Fruity Loopers.
Oh, dude, that was my first one. I mean, I guess they just they have it on Mac now, but
yeah,
for a while I was like, man, if they got it to the Mac, I would have switched right over.
Oh,
I love it.
That changed my life. You know, that was it. Yeah. But you know, I just, you know, the newer generation.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the way that we can communicate through all these, you know, we got so much resources now.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need to have the similar struggles that we had or I had. You know what I mean? So it's like, if I can kind of put out what I know and help them in any way, I'm up for it, man. So that's the crux of it, really.
Yeah. So I agree with both of you guys. I've always believed in this concept where it's like, you know, to have a truly even playing field, you'll really get the best person and the best art, right? So if you give everyone equal opportunities in which people don't, you know, whether it's, you know, like race, ethnicity, gender, orientation, whatever, it's like there are these inequalities, even just in a creative space. But if you were to make it really fair and have people have that knowledge available to them, like they are available to the both of you, we'd be able to hear the best music, right? If someone that doesn't have access finally has access, they might be the ones to blow everyone's mind. So I'm always really thankful for people like the both of you in terms of like putting yourself in a position to share knowledge and help grow creativity, because we'll only all benefit from it. That being said, this is completely unrelated, but I'm trying to segue anyways. This is the food portion of our show. So I'm not sure if you guys were told about this.
Oh, don't worry. Yeah.
Okay. Because every time people are just like, what? Am I supposed to order food? Or they're like, it's midnight, I can't order anything. Typically, everyone who says that, they're from England. So I hope you guys got some food. Let's start with Dex. I'm always trying to like figure out which direction to point in.
Well, basically, the thing is, in London, it is almost midnight. So what I did, instead of getting like big meals, I went to, there's a place downstairs called from the studio called Fresh Falafel. It's serious, and it's like a shop, but he's patterned it out like a kind of market stall. And he's got all these, he does smoothies and fruits and that. So I got a few smoothies.
Nice.
This is a green juice, got loads of green stuff in it. I got the berries out there, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, and a bit of banana. I got the watermelon juice. We got
fire, man. You're gonna have to take some bathroom breaks during this program.
We got the mangoes in there. We're ready to go, man.
Nice.
Today's a healthy day. Okay, Emma, what about you?
So mine's just currently in the freezer, so I might have to go and get it. But I was kind of like, I spent a lot of time thinking, what do I eat at this hour? You know, that I could that's newsworthy, to be honest. And then I thought toast, and I was like, well, I can't do that. That's just embarrassing. So then I thought ice cream, and actually, just a couple of miles away, there's 2 ice cream parlors. One I used to work in when I was 15 and got fired from. So I haven't been in there since. So I thought, well, I can't go there. But that's the one that everyone goes to. And then there's one next door that's actually really nice, but it's smaller, and it doesn't ever have a queue outside the door or anything. But it's called the Parkgate Homemade Ice Cream Shop. So I went in there, and I got a big tub of mint chocolate chip, which is just I'll get it in if there's an opportunity to from the freezer.
You can totally grab it now. I can go and explain to everyone what this portion of the show is for. So for anyone tuning in right now, basically this is the part of our show where we as musicians or creatives go and support our local businesses. And so we'll go and order a food to go, or many times some artists find that they don't actually live in an area where they can deliver. In those moments, people have chosen to work on their health, work on their cooking. So we've had a variety of different scenarios. Definitely with everyone in England, no one has real food. Everyone always has a snack, but it's okay, because it seems like we're on a trend, because I got an acai bowl because I was trying to be healthy this week. From this place that's super fire. So I think they opened their first location in Koreatown in LA. And do you guys have acai bowls in England? Has that ever been a thing?
What did you call it? Acai bowl.
Acai bowl.
No, I've never. I don't know. No.
It's spelled like that.
Oh, no, I don't.
Acai bowl. So this is mine. It's usually really pretty, but I guess it's just in a to-go container for now. So it's like a smoothie bowl, but the base of it is this fruit from the Amazon called acai, and it's really good for you and has lots of antioxidants, and it's super tasty. So it's kind of like eating ice cream, but you don't feel like
I should have one of those.
I like the idea of you making toast, because I thought that was the most realistic thing. Everyone makes toast.
Oh, I know. I've let myself down, especially as I've just got it out of the freezer, and it's literally like it's like a murder weapon. It's frozen solid. So, like, I don't even know if I'm going to get into that in this.
I just imagine you taking it, like bashing it on someone's head. That's a great thing. Keep it. You know, times are weird right now. You might need a weapon. Just kidding.
Can we eat now? Is it eating?
Oh yes, this is the part. So the great part of having food is when I'm playing music, you're not. I mean, everyone doesn't know what to do, so now you can actually start eating. So I actually got more things because I never just get one thing. I got empanadas, but they're vegan, so it's from the same place, and I believe the owners are Brazilian. But so this one says chicken salsa verde, and this is vegan, so it's like vegan chicken. And I don't know what this one is because it's kind of fallen off. I can't read that. I don't know. And then I got a third one. This one's mushroom. So I'll be eating the savory and the sweet because that's how you got to do it. And it got like hot sauce and stuff. So I'll play the next song so everyone's food doesn't melt because it seems like all of us got frozen food today. So or frozen snacks to be more clear. So this next one, Dex, you picked it. So it's called Fighting the Feeling by P-Jam?
P-Jam, yeah.
P-Jam. Okay. Whew. It's always one of those. So why'd you pick this song?
Yeah, this is by a friend of mine who's also part of the Producer Girls workshop team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've known him for years, and he's just a dope producer. And this tune, I love this tune. So I thought, you know what? It's not a new tune. It's a few years old.
Uh-huh.
I just think it's a great tune. So I thought, yeah, let's play it.
You know what? It's still a new tune to me, and I'm sure it's a new tune to everyone else. That's what I love about music. You know, you can hear a song from the 60s and it's old, but it's still new. You know, music is amazing. You can discover it at any point in your life, and it's like, I've never heard this before. This is way newer than listening to Drake, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Take all your small words back into your small mind. Come back when you know facts about my life. Lord, I know, Lord, I know, Lord, I know. Lord, I know, Lord, I know, Lord, I know. Lady, I never tried to lose you never. There ain't no way, there ain't no how. I'm gonna let you.
So good. So Dex, I actually want to ask, so you've been in the music industry for a really long time. You started when you were 17 years old. So I want to ask, like, what was it like starting out at such a young age and to have such an immediate and significant impact? Yeah, what were those experiences like?
Yeah, I mean, really exciting to be fair. You know, as a teenager, I mean, I was lucky enough to be able to put out a tune on the label of one of the producers I really looked up to. Sticky. He had a label called Social Circle. So yeah, that was crazy for me. But I think one of the things I was lucky about is that I came in with people that were much older than me, so they were, you know, they kept me grounded, and I didn't get too excited, if you know what I mean. I was able to kind of anytime I did start to get too excited, you know, they were good at reading me back in. So yeah, I kind of had a smooth enough journey at the beginning.
I mean, it's just like an interesting scenario whenever you see anyone. I mean, now that you're older, you can see artists that are your age that are also getting lots of attention, and kind of how these artists choose to like approach their career, because sometimes they got like they're 17, they got one big hit, and then it like messes with the way that they think about their music career, versus someone who's been like slow and steady, working on it for a long time and really building that stamina to be a musician. Because you know, a lot of people get caught up. There's like drugs, there's partying, there's ego and things like that. So, I mean, for you, it seems like you were mentored by older people that kept you in check and really taught you everything. And I know that right now you've been mentoring, and you also have the YouTube series.
Yeah.
So I want to touch on that a little bit. How and when did you decide to start that?
That was a few months ago. It was during the lockdown, actually. It's something that I was thinking about doing for a while. I just didn't have the exact way I wanted to kind of do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens, you know what? I think during the lockdown just gave us all a bit more time to think about things. And yeah, it kind of organically just happened during then. And I thought, you know what? I had a few conversations with people on Twitter, just open conversations. Let's all talk about things, this game and the producers, what you're trying to learn. And I thought, you know what? I started to realize I know quite a few things that people would like to know. So why don't I just put this information out there? And what I was trying to do was encourage other producers to do the same as well. Like, you know, I'm trying to encourage a lot of producers from these scenes over here to, you know, let's share the knowledge. Let's share the knowledge. Let's share what we got. Let's not be afraid and just put it out there. See what happens.
Is it really your YouTube series? Is it really interactive? Do you allow if someone sends you a question, do you have a way that you participate with the people that watch your YouTube show?
It's very early yet, so I haven't got at the moment. I'm just making the videos and uploading them. But people have said they'd like me to do things live, kind of. So I will eventually get there. That's a progression that I'd like to do at some point.
Well, if you want any pointers, I've been doing this for like 27 or 28 weeks. So, you know,
yeah,
I feel like a professional now, but I'm actually still pretty awful at it. Thank you. I mean, I have my moments. Sometimes I'm like, wow, I did really well. And then sometimes I'm like, ooh, wow. But it's fun.
It's like, I think it's like the whole Zoom thing. Like, did you have the whole thing where everyone was on Zoom in like March? And I was on these Zoom calls and I just couldn't get used to looking at my own face. And I realized that as lockdown continued, I just forgot how to speak. And I'm probably doing it now. I don't know. Like, I can't really remember how much is too much and things like that. But no, I think you're doing great. And I love the fact that you've had such a variety of guests on and things as well. And
yeah,
keep doing it.
Sure.
It's always you're gonna be your own worst enemy sometimes, and your harshest critic. But in any case, I actually want to ask you about your Producer Girls platform. Can you explain to the audience like what it is, how it started, you know, how you and Dex connected through it?
Yeah. So basically, like back in 2016, which was like, you know, when again, like all the women were getting trolled on Boiler Room, and like it was like an issue. Like if you were a woman, like people spoke to you in a certain way and things like that. And it was just really like I just kind of hated it. I kind of released an album in 2013 and did a series of like, you know, found myself always trying to justify why I was like people like, you know, like constantly doing warm-up sets and things like that and not getting anywhere. And I just kind of thought, well, when I distilled it down, I just thought, well, what we're missing is like any kind of encouragement of like creating a community of like women from various radio stations that I met and things like that. They were all doing these jobs in music, like DJs or, you know, internships or whatever, like, you know, maybe like producing radio shows and not getting paid and anything. I just thought, well, all of these women would be amazing producers. Like, why don't I just put on a workshop for free and get Fruity Loops? I wrote to Fruity Loops and I just was like, can you give me some software? And then they replied like, yes. And I was like crying to mum, like, Fruity Loops email me back. And I'm nobody. I can't believe it. I can't believe I got an email from Fruity Loops. And then obviously I needed other Fruity Loops teachers. So I put a tweet out, and then PJam offered to help immediately, and then got told Dex about it because he knew that Dex was big into like sharing the knowledge as well. And then Iconica rather, because she'd actually given me some feedback on tunes in like 2008-9, which I remember was Needs More Bass. So I emailed her. I knew that she'd moved off FL, but I was like, you know, do you want to be involved? And she was like, thanks, so yeah, 100%. And then so I built this like dream team basically, and we just ran these workshops kind of like on shoestring expenses, because we had the software. You know, we just told people to bring a laptop, headphones. We had a projector from somewhere. I think it was from my day job actually, and the office, the stationery cupboard. And then we did a Kickstarter, and because we found it because it's quite difficult when you DIY to kind of work with brands and stuff, because they just want to slap a logo on it and give you a room, but no real, you know, longevity. Or I was hoping that we might get some proper funding or from, you know, someone. And it was always like these meetings that were just like, you can have a room, you put a logo on your flyer kind of thing. So, you know, we did a Kickstarter and raised like over like £3,000, and then we're able to take it around the UK because we didn't want it to just be London until the money ran out for like train tickets and stuff getting around. And then I guess building up the Producer Girls Instagram, and then it kind of got laid dormant for about a year just because, you know, I had to work and things. But in lockdown, I just suddenly thought, oh my God, like, and we need to be writing stuff on this Instagram, you know. We've got like a captive audience here that are just probably feeling quite low with everything that's going on. And, you know, I'm just going to start writing some tips and kind of asking the other guys for bits of info to add into the posts and stuff. And I think it's so now it's just exists on Instagram really, but I'm just trying to think now, kind of like, because people are messaging me on Producer Girls, like, can you look over this contract and things like that. And it strikes me that it is this kind of community and people and support network. And I'm just trying to think about, from a kind of business point of view, how I can capitalize on it to create some kind of like a union or something, or more of a, you know, something that people can go to for other resources as well. So at the moment, I'm just kind of trying to work out in my head how that might work and stuff. And
interesting. You know, I always find that, you know, there's always crowdsourcing for different things. You can also crowdsource. We can also, I mean, I guess even from this program, but crowdsource ideas for how you can make that a reality. How could you use this platform, make it something bigger to really help make a very large paradigm shift within this industry? So anyone out there has ideas, or if anyone's a lawyer, that's probably the best thing. I really wish that there were more entertainment lawyers or people that were familiar with this kind of law that could be there to help musicians. Because, you know, you guys both saw Kanye West doing the like pissing on his Grammy thing. Yeah, you know, like maybe not the best form of making your point, but he did make a point, and you know, a lot of artists are locked into these really unfair contracts, even from small labels. Like I think one of my first releases was on this English label that I will not name, but they locked me in. It was just an EP, but they like locked me in forever, and they never paid me anything. And you know, I didn't know how to read a contract at that time. This was like 2009. So I just was like, oh, cool. Someone wants to release my music. I'm just gonna, it's fine. It's just like 5 songs, except when one of those songs ends up being like one of your most streamed songs and you're not getting any royalties. So if you have the ability to create a platform where, you know, people are asking you to read contracts, that'd be like a really useful tool. At least when I talk to young musicians, everyone is the most scared of contracts, as they should be. They're really scary.
Yeah, and you kind of get the feeling that lawyers have made it so it keeps them in business. Like a couple of times, like I've had a contract that I've needed like a lawyer to look over or something. There's always this mystery that they keep. Oh, it's gone back. Oh, you know, we've sent it back again. And well, what have you done? You know, what changes were made? You know, that kind of thing. And then, yeah, I think, you know, I kind of feel like it's so off-putting, particularly for people just entering the industry, because they don't have any professional confidence or experience, and they can't, or money, and you know, but yet they're hit with all this language that like doesn't make any sense. Just seems really bizarre how it's gone on for so long, really.
Yeah, you have the lawyers on one side acting on behalf of the label, or I mean, sometimes not even a label, right? Sometimes it's just like a publishing deal or whatever it may be. And then you have, if you're fortunate, then you have your own lawyer then trying to combat that all through language. And, you know, I didn't have a lawyer in the beginning. You know, no one has the funds usually to hire a lawyer in the beginning, but that other side does. So I don't know. I think you just like struck a chord with me, and I'm like, we need to do something about that. You know, you can't do anything about the contracts, but we can educate musicians out there on how to read them, language to look for, and things like that. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just a suggestion, because I know that if I was a young producer girl, which I am at heart, that's something that I would want help with. So I still look at these contracts like I don't know, but I'm in a position where at least I have a lawyer that can read it over, and I know. I wish I had one in the beginning too, but I digress. I actually want to play a song of yours now. So this is a song of yours called Shell. Do you want to give a little intro?
Oh, yeah, okay. So this is off my latest album out on Local Action. Shout out Tom and Elle, which came out in July, and I think it's track 7. And what to say about it? I was just really keen to get this on the album, and it's a little bit of a different vibe to the other tracks, because I guess it's more of a beat. But actually, an interesting fact about it is I did a short course in Goldsmiths and film scoring. And I did a Dracula soundtrack, and the teacher was like, "This is the worst thing I've ever heard. Why are you trying to be like Philip Glass?" And he looked like he wanted to kill me. So that melody is actually the strings, the MIDI strings in the intro. I just thought everything that he said he hated, I put on the album in some form, just for my own, you know.
He sounds like a dick. To be honest.
It kind of reminded me why I hated school. I was like, no more adult evening classes for me. But yeah. So anyway, it's his. See what you make of it, Twitch.
You know what? I bet you it's amazing. It's always such a weird thing judging art. Like, how do you judge art? Like, what makes this Jackson Pollock piece better than like a Van Gogh versus better than like a GIF of a kitty cat? You know, like it's all up to the person. I've already listened to it, so I know that I like it. So,
hope I haven't talked it up now.
It's worth it. Has your guys' things, your food melted yet? Because mine's definitely melted.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, it's kind of about normal now. So
It's pliable now.
yeah, that bit you hated.
I like a good arpeggiation. My favorite.
Yeah, I totally. Yeah, I try and copy everything.
So actually, this is a great segue. So, you know, one revenue stream for musicians are syncs. You know, having a song put in a movie, in a commercial. It's nothing you can really rely on unless you're a film scorer. You just like if you happen to get a sync, it's kind of like a little bonus for you. But I know for you both, it seems like soundtracks are very important. And I guess Emma, apparently your twin sister is a director.
Oh yeah,
and you've
she'll be
scored
glad you
some
said
film.
that.
So it's interesting to say that you had scored Dracula and your professor was like blah blah blah, like not being very nice about it, but you seem to really like that, and I can hear with that track as well. It's very orchestral and it has a very soundtrack kind of feel to it. I guess I don't know if that's like the best way to describe it, but it's something that I can imagine supporting and being in support of something visual as well. So yeah, I want to ask you both about the importance of visuals in terms as a counterpart to the music.
Yeah, I think for me, when I got a bit disillusioned, kind of like when I got a bit disillusioned with just kind of with the music industry, I suppose, I was looking for other ways to engage with music that would kind of re-inspire my love and enthusiasm for it, really. So I kind of took up dance classes, and then I started kind of like remembering that when I was a child and stuff, I really loved film soundtracks, and that's kind of what I remember most about films, really. So and it's a different, because I think that when it's done well, it's the things that the music is what makes the scene, isn't it? I mean, I know that directors would say otherwise, but and everyone else involved in the film would probably be like, oh, because it's the least important bit, or my opinion, But I know my sister would. But yeah, but Dex, me and Dex have been talking a lot about soundtracks, and it is part of the reason why, because it's such a kind of a bit of an unknown entity in terms of trying to get into that world. We just started making our own soundtrack kind of music because we thought, well, why wait for permission, So this is a good segue into Dex talking about the video game soundtrack that he created.
Yeah, do you know what? I think just like a lot of my influences growing up of things that I like that I like from music were from music that was made to convey emotions in visuals anyway. So I think both of our music kind of carries that still, even when we're not thinking of visuals. So it kind of just works, just putting emotional melodies and stuff into the music in the first place. It works visually anyway. Probably because of our influences, where they come from. For me, it's a lot of video games as well, which is very visual. Literally interacting with the visual. So
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, half of this, half of the project on the Digital Monk, I'd listened to E.M.M.A sent me an album like way before it came out. I was listening to it and I was like, wow, like this just sounds like so free. She just sounds free. Emma wasn't really thinking about, well, it seems like when I was listening to it, she's not thinking about, what genre should this be, or, where should this fit in. It just felt like she was just pouring her soul and just, vibing with it. And I was listening to it thinking, yeah, man, I want to be free as well. So I was like, you know what? That's when I made the last tune that I sent, which is the last tune on the EP. It's called Aerospace. And yeah, that was me thinking, you know what? Let me kind of do this emotionally driven thing, just see where my spirit takes me and just not really think about where it needs to sit genre-wise and just see what happens. And
You know what? Oh, sorry. Go on.
I was saying it came out all right.
Yeah, I want to listen to it. So we have the track, and we seem to have the Pastel Prism. Oh wait, no, this is it. Sorry, I thought it was a remix for a second. Can I play the track now that we're discussing it?
Yeah.
I think I like lost myself in that song for a moment. I just like started staring off into space, like, wow. But that's like what you want. I mean, that's what I want, I think, music is very transformative, but it's also very transportative. If you listen to the right song, you can just feel like you're somewhere else.
Definitely.
So you said this is the very last song on your release. When did this come out?
Oh, this, I think it was the 17th of August, was it?
Right, 17th.
The 17th.
What are dates? You know, what
Yeah.
year is it? Who knows?
It's all about the music, isn't it?
Yeah, so that actually brings me to a very pertinent question I've been asking lots of musicians, which is, how do you feel about releasing music during quarantine and lockdown?
That's a good question, you know, because
And it's a little loaded, but
well,
everyone has a different approach and thought.
it's funny because 2019 was the first year in my whole career since I started that I didn't release anything. So I was making a lot of music ready to drop. So when it got to 2020 and you know the COVID thing hit, all the bigger artists had to kind of stand down for a little while because the labels all shut down and everything. And you know what? For me, I just thought, well, you know, where everything's turned off, let's turn on and just go. So I released Got From EP on P Jam's Beat Camp label. This EP came out. I just been firing off non-stop. Like
that's a great way to look at it. This time as an opportunity to just be like, if y'all are sleeping, I'm gonna keep going and hustling. Emma, how about you? What are your thoughts about releasing music during sort of COVID?
Well, yeah, the COVID thing. Was that what you said, Dex? That Corona thing is going. Well, the last time I put a tune out, I think was 2018, and then I hadn't had the brain power to do an album because I've been working, and so I took I saved up some money. I quit my office job with a view to making the album. And then, you know, living off savings and then getting a job kind of like last March was the time I was going to kind of start working. And then obviously, but the album, you know, because of what it is and it's not really, you know, it was never club dependent or anything like that. So, and I did feel a little bit like, I felt a bit like people people needed some new music, and you know, there was times in lockdown where it wasn't the right time for me to be banging on about my cassette tape, you know, because there was bigger things going on, and you know, social upheaval, and so it was a bit like I was a bit unsure, like, should I even put this album out? And then I kind of felt like, well, like to what Dex said, because we were talking about the Pastel Prism EP for ages, and we were like, well, what should we do? And then we just thought, you know what, let's just keep going, and you know, and people might have a sense of normality if the people are doing stuff, you know, because if everyone just like hits pause and because they think, oh, let's wait for things to happen, then it's not really fair on like music listeners. Like, so I felt like it was and it kept me going, to be honest. Like all my conversations with Dex and also Tom and Elle at Local Action, and thinking about the cassette tape and the guitar plectrum, like with the autograph on it, and all these funny little things. It was just in working with the designers, like Morgan Hidlop, Patrick Saville, and the photographers, and my sister Sophie. And if I didn't have that to focus on, I might have been quite depressed. So it was a good distraction, really.
Yeah, I agree. It gives you purpose is everything, right? You know, what is it? There's like a study done where with older people, like very old people, they tend to live longer if they have some kind of purpose. So like the ones that decide not to retire and they're still working at their little shop or doing whatever, they tend to live a long and purposeful life. It's not a job for them. It gives them something to do. So I think in many ways, you know, you guys have a wonderful outlook on this time. Because some people I talk to, it's been more disheartening because everyone's very unsure. People who do rely on a club circuit, they are thinking, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to release this club album and I can't go and DJ it. But I think, you know, like you guys are saying, just to touch upon, you know, people still need to hear music whether they're at the club or not. People still like club music whether they're at the club or not, and people like music in general. So you guys get to stay busy, and everyone at home that can't go out get something new to listen to. So
Yeah.
Cheers to you guys. It's hard because even for me, I had an album come out in March, and it was a little weird for me. I had a big plan around it, and it kind of fizzled.
Yeah.
So
it's amazing. I listened to that in preparation for the show, and I absolutely loved it. I did some yoga halfway through as well.
Nice.
I really loved it. It's amazing. Congratulations on that.
Yes. I want every album I make to be playable during yoga. At least some of it. No, I'm just kidding. Would that be like a weird thing, right? Like to have like these checklists of things. Like, so every album has to have like one upbeat song, one quiet song, one emotional song, and one song that someone can do yoga to. I don't even do yoga. I just like saying that. But
I was only doing 30 minutes, so that's why it didn't. I didn't the whole running tight. It didn't like. I had some left at the end from.
At least you're staying healthy during this whole coronavirus thing. I had U-God from Wu-Tang Clan on like a few weeks ago, and he was just talking about how he was like losing his body, and he was like in such good shape before coronavirus, and I guess not feeling so good about himself. And
well, I mean, you know what? Like, I just think now, like, I mean, I've been doing a bit of the old HIIT workouts for the first time ever, but I'm not going to keep it up because, and we don't. I don't know. We can just switch it on and switch it off again. Otherwise, what's the end game?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just give yourself a break from it every now and then. Why not?
Yeah, give yourself a break from everything. Some days you want to work out hard. Sometimes you don't want to work out. Sometimes you don't want to work out for like 3 months. But that's just me.
Yeah, it is a formula.
But moving back onto the music, Emma, you picked this song "Lossy" by Iconica, and she's just been crushing it for so long. Oh, was that yours?
Yeah.
Whoops. Okay, so Dex picked this track. Do you have any background on this one? Anything in particular?
This is just a dope tune by Iconica. Iconica is also one of the producer girls team as well.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just a sick producer, sick DJ. And I thought, there's a tune from E.M.M.A. There's a tune from P-Jam.
Nightwave.
Nightwave.
Yeah. Us.
The whole team. Yeah, let's just get us all in.
Let's do it. I love this. Just highlight the movement. Okay, so the song's called Lossy by Iconica. Ooh, bass.
One video. Streets of Rage.
So I remember back in like 2010, I found out about Iconica through Code 9 and all the hyperdub people. Do you guys like recall that era, like that 2010, 2009 to 2013 in London? What that felt like to you guys, like going to Fabric or doing. I have very special memories of that era in London, but I was wondering what that meant to both of you.
If
anything, maybe not.
I have a very strong memory of, is it like the purple music that was, do you remember like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I say do you remember, that's like a par, I don't mean that, but like, like I'm 62. Yeah, like when I was in university, that ended in 2008, but like Joker, Iconica, Starkey, all that kind of stuff, like all the colourful kind of end of dubstep, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was obsessed with that, and Rusty, and it was really exciting times actually. And that's when I was starting producing, and I guess and also getting to know London, because my whole youth I was obsessed with American hip hop. So I kind of was just, when I was that age is when I was actually realizing what was going on in the UK. What about you, Dex?
Yeah, I remember that. I was basically making grime, and the dubstep thing was just busting through the roof, and all I thought was all in the grime side saying, "Whoa, whoa, what's going on? This is crazy." And a couple of us got bookings in some of these dances, but the dubstep thing just blew, like it just went worldwide, everywhere, crazy.
It was
And
so big. I mean, it's still big. 2005 Fabric was a magical era. All the breaks, plumps. I'm feeling. Oh, that's a whole generation before Alistair. I know what you're talking about. I didn't know what breaks were. Do you like? Is that a big thing in the UK? Because I didn't know like breaks as a genre until maybe like 4 years ago, which is already like 10 years after it was popular. Because,
Yeah, I missed that.
I like, didn't even know that. I didn't even know what it was.
I feel like people have been like talking at me in house parties about it, but I don't know what it is. I don't really know. Do you know, Dex? What's breaks? Have I committed an error there?
not really. I'm not. Yes, but the only thing I kind of heard about a lot is from the 90s. Like the rave scene, and break, people refer to that as scenes that were happening there as break scenes.
Yeah, right. Because I get confused, because is it breaks like, is DJ Shadow breaks, or is that just more, is that a different kind of breaks? But then I was told that breaks as a genre was something else. I don't know. Well, anyone out there, if you want to learn, there's a whole other genre called breaks.
Like, what is it? I don't know.
There's what is that one? What is it? Like Evil 9 or something? I think he does breaks, and then there's like was Baseline House big in London? Okay, that's a good question. I don't know what that really means either, because all like, there's a lot of bass lines in house music in general.
I don't think it was big if you're gonna compare it to baseline. Baseline house was like, like Buller Cake, T2 Heartbroken, these kind of. I don't. If you compare it to the scene that was going on up north and in the Midlands, then it wasn't big. I mean, there were people that liked it because if you like garage, then why would you not like bassline? And people were still playing garage on radio stations and stuff and events. So the bassline stuff could fit in. It could just fit in nicely in the sets. But compared to what was going on outside of London, in the Midlands and the North, that scene was popping like crazy. That was a sick bassline scene. I don't think we had that in
Interesting.
London.
I'm so fascinated by England as a country because it's quite small. It doesn't even, like, I think a few hours on the train, you can be from the bottom to the top. And yet there's so many different scenes that come from very specific areas. Because I know, like I'm friends with Bonobo, and so him and Brighton, there was like a whole scene of them doing kind of this like chill, that like trip hoppy kind of stuff. And then I know a lot of the dubstep stuff came from, what was that? Not where are all the dubstep guys from?
Is it Croydon?
Bristol?
Bristol. Yeah, it was Bristol. Yeah. But it's these big genres that end up getting really big coming from this really small country versus, in the US we have, Chicago house, Detroit techno, and then East Coast hip hop and West Coast hip hop, and then not a lot of other very significant genres. I mean, I guess country music, rock and roll, all of that stuff, but it just in electronic music, so many little micro genres have come out of the UK, including there was a time where like UK funky was really big. I don't know if that's still a thing now. You remember that?
It's there. It's there. What?
Yeah, I think it's still got a following. I know that when I've been out in London, just generally in South London, or you hear it, you still hear it in cars and things like that. Maybe not all the producers are hopping on the bandwagon as they did in that era. But yeah, you still hear it a lot. I mean, I used to play it quite a lot because I just really love hearing it out, and yeah, it's everyone seems to love it as well.
Yeah.
When the bass was popping up north, UK funky was killing London. Like they were loving it in London. It was smashing out. Everyone loved it. It was really like going for it. And yeah, so the Londoners took to UK funky, and up north took to bassline. That was kind of the difference.
Interesting. Do you guys have any new? It's always funny to say genre, but do you guys know any new type styles of music coming out of the UK right now that you'd want people to kind of read up on? Any new scenes? Anything popping in the underground?
There's I mean, I would say I'm definitely not a part of the underground, I don't think anymore. I think I'm kind of, that would be like me being like, hello, good afternoon, kids, I'm definitely out of touch, like a politician, but yeah, I mean, the only thing that kind of got to me is that British producer that produced up for Pop Smoke. Is he 808 Mellow? Is he the British guy that's like running?
What is that called? That's
Drill.
Called
Drill.
Yeah, Drill. Yeah.
It's funny because like me and everyone, the journalists label everyone as Drill here. Like now, like my album got like Drill in some comments, like, and I know that I didn't set out to make Drill, but at its core, its grassroots level, the scene, I think that's really, really exciting. And I mean, I have nothing to do with it, but as in personally, but and I wouldn't ever say that I made Drill, but I just think that's the most, for me, it is, the energy is just really exciting, and I do love it every time I hear it. And that guy that produced 808 Mellow, I think he's recently, I thought like I just love all of his productions. I follow him on Instagram, and yeah, I think he's great.
Yeah.
This is like little heart eyes.
Peak right now. UK drill is winning over here. Like,
yeah, there's a drill scene in the UK, and then there's like a drill scene in Brooklyn, I think, in New York, where they're doing drill there too. And then now, it's popular because now Drake is on all the drill tracks, so it's going somewhere. But I love drill too. It's a new exciting thing to kind of come out of like hip hop, because it seems the sounds are very much like rooted in like grime, more experimental than a standard trap beat. That's why I really like drill. It seems like it's more challenging. The production is more challenging.
I tell you what UK drill is for me. UK drill is basically the kind of Chicago drill, but mixed with grime. So there's grime elements in it, and it makes it more jumpy and skippy. And the flows that they use on it, it's kind of like a fusion between Chicago drill and UK grime, which makes UK drill. There's elements of both. I can hear them.
Yeah, 100%. I can too. Similar sound. It's like the sounds, right? Like similar. I feel like they're using similar patches and style of mixing, and it's super cool. Yeah. So, do you guys have any other drill artists out of the UK that you would recommend to people watching right now? Not to put you on the spot, or you guys can all go on Google and just Google like UK drill and figure it out. I hate it when people do that to me, so I'm sorry that I did it to you. If you guys had one off the top of your head, then it would have been fine, but I'm not gonna pressure you. It's always like, what are your 5 favorite songs? I'm like, I don't know right now. But if you give me 10 minutes, I'll figure it out. I hate those questions. So sorry that I just asked one of those of you. Nice segue into a song that Emma you did pick. So this is "Baby" by Sophie.
Mm-hmm.
Any reasons why you picked this one?
I came across Sophie. Well, she was in we were in the same kind of article, and then Tom at Local Action also mentioned that she'd done a guest mix, I think, on Tom Ravenscroft radio show, and she's got an album out now, and it's like synth pop basically, and it's called, I can't remember what the name of the album's called. It's called like Cult Survivor or something like that, and it's got a bit of a psychedelic vibe to it, like a 70s. A little bit of like the visual looks a bit like a kind of Charles Manson-y kind of reference, and I'm like fascinated with that kind of era anyway, like watching all the documentaries and stuff. But yeah, I just thought it was a really interesting album and very original, and this was my favorite track from it.
All right, let's listen to it. So "Baby" by Sophie.
Baby, ever since you left, I am feeling too high about myself. So baby, hit me up, give me another shot at being your love. And baby, I'll make it worth your while. It would fill my heart just to see you smile. In a world far away, I know we'll meet again someday. But I hope for now you'll see me again somehow.
So there's a good question that came in the comments. Let's see if I can find it now. Someone was asking how you guys both felt about genre terms, and do you guys feel like so that you play between any of them, or let's see, feel like you guys play between the lines a lot. So how do you feel about genre terms?
You know what? I understand that, you know, especially for, you know, DJ genres can be helpful. I get it. Genres can be helpful. You could say I played this, and then everybody knows you played this set of tunes. But for the creative, some creative, each to their own. So some creatives will want to stay in those guidelines and kind of run with it, and that's what they're passionate about. And then you got other creatives that, you know, they don't want to be boxed into anything because they might not feel the same way next month. So what they're making this month, that's their vibe for the month or for the day. And by next week, next month, next year, whenever, they might want to explore some other things. But sometimes you can get boxed into the genre so much that now when you want to explore other things, it's kind of frowned upon because, you know, you might have a core audience in that world. And now I've had it before. I've had it when I was doing baseline house.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, the grime audience, was like, you know, rah, what's going on? But I was still making grime. I never ever stopped making grime. But the baseline stuff was kind of exploding so much that it was overshadowing the grime projects that I was doing. And so people was just like, right, he's not even making grime anymore. He's gone over there now. He's just doing bassline. And but from the beginning, I kind of made sure that I was to be seen, not just making one thing, because I didn't ever want to get boxed into anything. Because I think, you know, I like music. I take my influences from. I purposely don't try to take my influences from the scene that I'm working in anyway, because then I'll just sound like everybody else in the scene. So
that's a great piece of advice, actually, for anyone who's a music maker watching right now.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I think about genres. I understand the necessity, but each to their own. And for me, I just like making music across the spectrum, and my vibe changes. So the thing is, I'll never stop making anything. I'll just, you know, be making something else for the time being, and I'll make, you know, I bounce back and forward. I'm a dynamic human being.
You are. You're so dynamic. It's also it's like challenging yourself too. I guess you guys probably also do know musicians that tend to stick to what they do. They're like, I just make drum and bass. This is all I do. Or I make rap beats. This is all I do. But I think there's a place for musicians like that, and there's also like a place to allow musicians to grow and to discover themselves. And I'm wondering, Emma, for you, how you feel in terms of, you know, maybe the music you made 10 years ago or, you know, in the beginning versus the music you make now.
Yeah, I remember like when I first started making music, I was very conscious of like acceptance from other people. Like it was like an approval. And I remember once like someone played one of my tunes to someone who was like down for a gig, and he was like, oh, I'll cut that to dub plate, like if she sorts out the sub bass or something like that. And I remember, and then my friend was like, oh, I'll sort out your sub bass, and then, you know, we can cut. And I was like, oh, I don't like that. Like that's like, I don't want someone telling me that I need to like, you know, that it's not fitting in some kind of convention because it's not bassy enough for dubstep or whatever. So I think as a kind of defense mechanism, I just started inventing my own genres. So I had Victorian grime, which hasn't aged well, but that was sampling like a bassoon and a gunshot and a duel, like with knives. And, you know, I mean, I was 19 at the time. And then even when I sampled Mind Maze and made it into like a UK funky, I just called it medieval funky because I kind of thought like, I kind of just wanted to create something that maybe people would latch onto. But then I suppose it was kind of underpinned maybe a bit like insecurity and a bit like feeling like I needed a seat at the table and I needed to be part of something. Then the older I've got, I've just totally realized that that wasn't for me. And it doesn't bring me any joy to kind of to want to fit in with people necessarily. It's not something that makes me happy. So what makes me happy is the complete opposite of that. But what I'm learning, kind of like what Dex said about the two kinds of people or you know, multiple kinds of people, like it's perfectly fine to want to make music that's in a genre. It's just that for some reason I find it just kind of doesn't appeal to me to stick to a specific genre. But kind of wish that I could, and my life might be a lot easier.
Oh, I think about that all the time, you know. I always like find that whenever I talk to someone who's like, you know, a new musician, if they ask for a piece of advice, I'm always like, you do you, because there's always if you try to sound like someone else, there's like 1,000 people trying to sound like that one person. You know, you're not going to change the game by just sounding like the popular sound of the moment. So it's a hard lesson to learn when you're younger, because I know for me too, it's like I was going to beat battles. I was like, I want to make beats and I want to play them against this guy. And I want people to know I make the hardest beats. And, you know, on the side, that was a part of something I wanted to do, but it was like, that didn't give me room to make not hard beats, you know, on the side. So, you know, I was in this like post J Dilla era, you know, making music with like a bunch of people like Flying Lotus and so on and so forth. But, you know, eventually from a little scene, everyone has kind of dispersed into doing things much more specialized in their own world. And yeah, I've never liked genres. And I always felt like, oh, I bet you if I just like made dubstep, or if I made house, or if I made something really conventional, maybe it would have gotten me farther faster, but I'm okay with where I'm at, you know? And I think like you guys are both super established, making wonderful music. And everyone watching today, I really highly advise that you go and check out their music, stream it online, support them, support, you know, your producer girls platform as well. I'll make sure to give it a follow on Instagram. I want to say though, finally, thank you guys so much for being on this program and sharing these amazing songs with us. Is there anything that we should look forward to from either of you?
Surviving 2020 is one.
Oh yeah. Let's hope
hopefully.
to see them both in 2021. That's the number one thing that we should hope.
That's a goal. Me and my sister have actually finished a little short film that Sophie shot in Paris. So I think that might be the next thing people see from me off the top of my head. But yeah, that's about it. What about you, Dex?
I've got an EP that I made with an artist we have over here called Big Nasty. And so he's got, I think, if I remember right, 8-track EP. So I've produced it all, and that's about to drop. It's martial arts.
Nice. Do you know how soon? Is it dropping this month or?
He doesn't have a date yet, but he's just started to fill out the promotion now. So
I was like, what is the point? I'm just like, what date? This, who cares? Well, like, we're gonna listen to it because no one has anything better to do except listening to great music. So we'll be looking forward to that EP that you participated on. I'm looking forward to, you know, hopefully catching that short film that you scored with your sister. Wait, I have one question before we leave. How is it like working with your twin sister? Wait.
It's you know what it's like. Have you got any siblings?
Yes.
You know how it's like they can say anything, you can just say anything to each other, like and it's like you're permanently 15. It's kind of like that in the mix. But I think we have a bit of you know, I fight my corner for something, Sophie fights her corner, and then ultimately we're both happy with what we end up doing. But so we've worked together more than once, so it must be working.
Good. It's always good to hear a successful sibling relationship, especially in the arts, because it's like people really want to do things their way. So if there's like a good amount of trust, I always wonder that. I don't know why I'm fascinated with that. I'm never going to make music with my sister because she doesn't make music. But thank you guys again. Thank you all for watching this week. Next week, we have New Jersey rapper Pineapple City and special guest Poetry the Feminists. So until then, thank you both so much. Sorry, I feel like I was extra weird today, but I felt very much like comfortable regardless. So thank you both. Thank you, everyone. And catch you next week. Bye.
Bye, everyone.